You're welcome to Demike Africa TV, home of history and knowledge, people and places. Before we continue, please have you subscribed to this channel. Why not? If not, thank you so much.
Black Pharaohs, the kings of Kush, Egypt's 25th dynasty.
Once upon a time, in the ancient past, before the Common Era BCE, in a time most European scholars refer to as the mythical Dark Ages, in the land of Kush, there lived a great, grand, highly enlightened civilization of sophisticated, charismatic, powerful, and compassionate African kings who would become Egyptian pharaohs. They thrived, prospered, and ruled for thousands of years BCE. These same kings were students of the ancient mystery schools of Africa, worshippers of Amun, the one god, and the laws of Math. Lost in the antiquity and shrouded in mystery, ancient Nubia, which is another name for Kush, extended south along the Nile River from the first cataract to the sixth cataract, called Shubaluga Gorge. Today, this region is located in modern Sudan, with a small portion crossing into southern Egypt, also known as the land of Am by the ancient Egyptians, Libyans, Assyrians, Hebrews, and Persians. It was also called Ethiopia by the Greeks, Romans, and 19th and early 20th century writers. New archaeological discoveries have recently proven that earlier Egyptian lineage origins flow from Ethiopia to Nubia and to Kemet, now known as Egypt. These rich new discoveries negate current Egyptology academics who insist that all great civilizations originated in Egypt and Mesopotamia. However, new DNA archaeology and anthropology studies conclude these were not the first great civilization and that Egypt's roots of origin flow undeniably back into ancient African. The first pharaoh was Pharaoh Alara from 790 to 760 BCE. Although not given credit in mainstream academia, Pharaoh Alara was the first to unify Upper Egypt, establishing Napata as the religious capital in Nubia. Father and founder of the 25th dynasty, his reign lasted for 30 years. He was beloved and revered as the father of the 25th dynasty. As founder of the dynasty, he also established a matriarchal co-pharaohship that included promising his sisters as the gods. Amenedes I, appointed God's wife and divine adoratrix of Amun, daughter of Kashta and sister of future Pa and Shabaka. She practiced spiritual powers of religion and political economics, a position held by women only in ancient Africa. This prominent role in politics, in later dynasties only held by men, shared power with women of the time. They were represented as equals, a position that was more powerful than today's pope or president. Divine adoratrices of Amun were strategically placed. They were sworn to celibacy, a practice which can be traced as far back as the year 1000 BC, and were expected to adopt a daughter who would follow as the next divine adoratrix. Each new dynasty named a princess of royal blood as the wife of Amun. She was adopted by and associated with the existing divine adoratrix and would keep the post until death, regardless of political turnovers. Women held high positions in ancient African politics. It was they also appointed their successor through adoption. Amenedes I, the high priestess of Amun, had enormous power. She was very wealthy and was the #1 political advisor to 5 of the 7 Egyptian pharaohs of the 25th dynasty, the kings of Kush. Pharaoh Kashta, 760 to 747 BC. Kashta, the brother of Alara, who ruled Egypt in a time of turmoil and destruction. However, he unified the kingdom, extending his rule to Aswan in southern Egypt. He reunified Upper and Lower Egypt, which was no easy task. The kingdom of Nubia was a powerful force, whose alliance included the Ethiopian army. King Kashta was also known as a very savvy politician. Pa, 747 to 712 BC. Pharaoh Pa, son of Kashta, ruled Upper and Lower Egypt from the capital of Thebes. His reign emphasized a revival of the culture of the new kingdom. He is credited with rebuilding the pyramids as a royal tomb. He was also very generous to engineers and architects who renovated ancient temples throughout the empire. Shabaka, 712 to 698 BC. Pharaoh Shabaka, son of Kushite, PA's brother and successor, moved the royal residence to Memphis in Upper Egypt. Continuing in the family tradition, he promoted harmony and the culture of ancient Kemet, now Egypt, by commissioning the reproduction of religious texts from earlier historical periods. Shebiku, 698 to 690 BC. Pharaoh Shebiku was the fifth king of the 25th dynasty of Egypt. The nephew and successor of Shabaka, son of Pa, Shebiku's name means enduring is the soul of Ra. Ta'aka, 690 to 644 BCE. King Ta'aka succeeded his brother Shabaka. He is regarded as ruler who reunited the land after the defeat against the Assyrians by Shabaka, which would have influenced internal rebellions. He is also regarded as a king who lost the entire land to the Assyrians shortly after. Tantamani, 664 to 657 BCE, the last pharaoh of the 25th dynasty. Pharaoh Tantamani was the son of King Shabaka and nephew of his predecessor Ta'aka. Once the Assyrians retreated from their first major defeat, Tantamani marched down the Nile from Nubia and reoccupied all of Egypt. Necho I, the Assyrian, was killed, and his army retreated only to return with more forces to conquer Egypt in the delta and advance far south to Thebes, where the city was burned and mercifully destroyed. The Assyrians' reconquest ended Nubian control over Egypt, although Tantamani's authority was still recognized in Upper Egypt until 656 BCE. They ruled for over 150 years, and their culture and influence lasted for another 1,000 years. The ancient Nubian kings of Kush ruled an empire that stretched along the Nile River. Pharaoh Ta'aka, one of the most famous rulers of the 25th Egyptian dynasty of Napatan Kush, reigned from 690 to 664 BCE. He was also ruler and king of Ethiopia. At age 16, the boy Pharaoh was called by the Hebrews for help, and the sons of Ham protected the sons of Shem. He led his armies against the invading Assyrians, defeating them. This courageous act earned him acknowledgement in the Bible. Pharaoh Tantamani was the son of King Shabaka and nephew of his predecessor. After invasion of Egypt by Syria, the Kushite Pharaoh was victorious and regained control of Egypt. Revered as a great military leader, politician, diplomat, and builder, renovating temples, ushering in a great period of rejuvenation and renaissance. In 2003, Swiss and French archaeologists discovered 7 2,500-year-old ancient granite statues of Egyptian pharaohs, better known as the kings of Kush, in what is now northern Sudan. The team from Geneva University uncovered the exceptional treasures while excavating the Nile Valley. The Swiss archaeologist and head of the expedition, Charles Bonnet, described the statue and monument as sculptural masterpieces. The quality of the work means they are real masterpieces of the period, and for the history of art, the discoveries are fabulous. Bonnet told Swiss Info. Bonnet was excavating the site 500 kilometers north of the Sudanese capital of Khartoum when he came across a small piece of stone. He began to clear away the sand and eventually revealed a 2-meter-long granite statue. The name Tahaka was inscribed on it, and the words Council Supreme engraved on the statue, just above the head of the king, in what appears to be English writing. It's an extraordinary masterpiece and discovery indeed. Continuing the dig, Bonnet and his French colleague Dominique Vabel discovered a pit filled with finely carved granite statues of the Nubian pharaohs. It was really fabulous. Bonnet said of the find, which he believes is one of worldwide importance and represents a significant contribution to the history of Egypt and Sudan, also known as Nubia, the land of Kush. Well preserved, the archaeologists were impressed by how well the statues, which date back to approximately 600 BCE, had been preserved in the ground. There were 7 stone carvings uncovered, including the pharaohs Ta'aka and Tanutamon and the king of Kush, Sen-Kamanisken, 640 to 620 BCE, who ruled Napata for 25 years after the end of the 25th dynasty. The Nubians ruled over the kingdom of Kush, an ancient land that included Egypt. They were eventually overthrown by the enemy, who destroyed and smashed statues, obliterate any signs of Nubian rule. The recently discovered archaeological art treasures seem to have been intentionally buried and hidden. We are the kings of the world. We stunned the world by our knowledge, and we still will, even though we took the secrets of knowledge with us. Priest Cinnamon, late 25th Dynasty, from 690 to 644 BCE. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your opinions in the comment section down below. See you next time. Bye.